We're now joined by Mahesh Vyas, Managing Director and CEO of CMIE. Mr. Vyas, thank you very much for your time, sir. It's always a pleasure. First of all, let me wish you or your team a very happy New Year from everyone here at CNBC TV 18. What is your impression when you heard Prime Minister Modi's 31st December speech, sir? What were the takeaways?
Well, there was essentially a lot of giveaways to various segments of the population. So senior citizens, housing, pregnant women. So my takeaway essentially is that this wasn't a stock taking of demonetization as was expected. There weren't no numbers on how much of the black money or black cash was impounded, but there was more about giveaways. So in a sense it was disappointing because of an expectation that this would be a stock taking of the demonetization exercise. I think after hearing that, I would say that if this is going to be the trend of more giveaways to various parts of the society, we may soon see a substantial rise in the socialist kind of action by the government compared to the rightist expectations that we had.
Actually, that is exactly what I wanted to touch upon, Mr. Vyas, and glad that you bring that up, because we've discussed the implications of specific measures with banks, NBFCs, etc. all day, and we will continue to get more reactions. But you do believe then that there is a marked shift towards some amount of populism, and if that is true, does that also raise expectations for more of that from the government, say in the budget or even before that?
Well, let me first say that I don't think this is a part of any policy towards more giveaways. I don't think it is a well thought out Robin Hood style giving handouts to various sections of society. At least that's not what most of the speeches of the Prime Minister seem to indicate. The Prime Minister's speeches in the recent past mostly indicated a tough, no-nonsense approach towards corruption. So one expected more on those lines as to what those actions could be or what the record of the 50 days of tough action was. So when the Prime Minister says that we will give some handouts to people who have probably been more inconvenienced, then I think this is more in the sense of a kind of an overcoming of the pain of certain sections of society, because the pain was apparently more than anticipated. I don't think the Prime Minister or the government has indicated anything as a shift towards a more socialist society. But there certainly is a recognition that the demonetization endeavor was a lot more painful than had been anticipated when the scheme was launched.
Mr. Vyas, exactly that. There are lots of cautious statements which have come in from the likes of Bajaj Auto, in fact, this morning, where they said that the conversion of inquiry to sales ratio has not seen any sort of recovery. Pawan Munjal of Hero mentioned that, a large industry should at least take 12 to 18 months to recover, and your own statistics are saying that there's an order drop of around 37% year on year. Your sense in terms of what the on-ground situation is right now, and how long do you think a recovery is going to take?
Well, the on-ground situation is very different for different parts of society. So on the one hand, you have households who are highly stressed because of the demonetization. They do see a lot of pain, but they have also very high hopes. At the same time, the business segment is quieter, does not seem to say much, excepting a few cases here and there, but they are the ones that are really stressed for the long term. I don't think they have a hope in the short term of a recovery from where they stand. So I see the medium-term play to be rather stressful for industry and therefore eventually for households. Investments dropped in the quarter of December 2016 substantially. I expect investments to remain very weak or weaken even further in 2017 because of demonetization. And as this happens, it will have an impact upon the household sector and it can lead to greater stress. I think the recovery period is going to be long, and the impact of demonetization is not one of 2 or 3 quarters and then we'll see a hockey stick turnaround or anything slightly close to that. I think this is going to be a long-drawn, a fairly long-term hit to the economy, where our growth rate has been reduced substantially for the long run.
So you're saying that the trend rate of growth has been pulled down? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes.
Could you, why do you say that, and why do you think, and to what you think? You put out some estimates about 20 days into demonetization announcement. At that point, you put a number that is 1.28 lakh crores was the hit to the economy till the 30th. You know, but that was then.
Okay.
Yes, go on.
So yeah, that was an estimate of what is the cost, the transaction cost of demonetization till 30th of December. So that's a different story.
Yeah.
I'm saying the growth rate has come down. The long run growth rate of India has come down because demonetization in the short run has hit consumption expenditure, and the hit on consumption expenditure is sharp. Most companies are talking about 25, 30, even 40% fall in consumption. I don't see this consumption coming back to normal very easily. And as this takes time to come back to normal, investments take a hit. Investments have been very weak for a fairly long time now. So if investments take a very long time to come back, and I don't see them coming back easily for the next 2 to 3 years as well, then growth will take a hit. If investments are hit, then employment is hit, and that hits consumption again. So I think the hit is a lot more structural than merely a short-term hit that most people seem to be talking about.
Mr. Vyas, just to be fair, I don't think people were expecting private capex, right, to pick up, you know, all the way actually into 2018-19 as well, right? I mean, so this maybe accentuates that problem. But it wasn't as if things were looking like they were taking off, but I don't think private capex especially was expected to pick up, was it?
It wasn't expected to pick up. And if there was any expectation from any quarter of capex picking up, even that has been demolished. I think demolished is a hard term, but I can't find another term to describe this. This was completely uncalled for. The Kharif crop had just benefited from a good rainfall after 2 years of drought. We were just beginning to see at least some hope of a recovery, and then comes demonetization, a very severe shock to the economy, which will reverberate for a fairly long time before households find employment to be good enough, to be wages to be good enough, have confidence to spend. Until they don't spend, the capacity utilization level of 70% or so that we see now will not rise. And if that does not rise, we don't see any capex coming up.
Just a quick question then, when you're talking about trend growth, what are you anticipating in terms of GDP when it comes to, say, FY17 and FY18? People are still anticipating that FY18 would see a recovery. Do you see maybe a sub 7% figure then?
CMIE's GDP forecast will come out in the next 3 or 4 days. And when that comes out, I will let you know. Right now, I'm not giving a number. I'm sorry.
Mr. Vyas, just one last question. You said when you differentiated between the impact on households and corporates, you said households' impact is high, but expectations are also very high. Just expound on that a little bit. Are you saying that expectations in terms of SOPs and lower tax rates for them are high? And should we expect any of that in the budget?
No, I don't know whether these expectations are regarding more SOPs or just that a society which is cleansed of black income or black money or black wealth is going to be a happier society. So what I'm talking about is actually consumer sentiments.
Yeah. So you're saying, okay, fair enough. So the expectation that rebounds, at least in households, in that segment, remains high, as opposed to industry where, I mean, even that is not there. Mr. Vyas, thank you very much for your time, sir. It's always